Good morning to all the students. Welcome once again to the economic class. Today we will discuss about the topic named credit control methods. In the previous class we have discussed about the functions of central bank, about the functions of the commercial bank. So apart from this topic, another topic which is very important is the credit control methods. Credit means loan activities. So how the credit is controlled by the central bank. So there are two methods to control credit. One is qualitative method, another one is quantitative method. So there are two methods to control credit. One is quantitative method, another one is qualitative method. Today we will discuss about the quantitative method. So quantitative methods to control credit. So in the quantitative method, the first one we are going to discuss is about bank rate. So first of all we must know what is bank rate. Bank rate means it is the rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank. So what is bank rate? Bank rate means it is the rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank. So that is the definition of bank rate. So once again, definition of bank rate I will say, bank rate is a rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank for long term needs. Okay, so bank rate means it is a rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank for long term needs. So student, one term you have to write is the long term. So bank rate means we know your RBI is giving money. Your RBI is giving money to the your commercial bank. Commercial bank, we know what are the SBI, etc. Giving money to the commercial bank for long term needs. Okay, for long term needs. It is known as bank rate. Now that is the definition. So definition is very important. Sometimes the definition will come for 1 mark. So other than that, apart from the definition, you must know how bank rate is controlling the credit. Say suppose in the economy, inflation happens. What happens? Inflation is happen. Inflation means a general rise in price level. All the prices are rising in the economy for every commodities. Then what the central bank will do? So at the time of inflation, central bank will increase your bank rate. Central bank will increase the bank rate. When the bank rate increases, your money supply in the economy. Money supply in the economy will decrease. When the money supply in the economy decrease, the demand will decrease. When demand decreases, price will also decrease. So it is a simple way you can study. So at the time of inflation, what a central bank will do? Central bank will increase the bank rate. So when the central bank increases the bank rate, the money supply in the economy will decrease. When the money supply in the economy will decrease, when there is no money with the people, there will be no demand. The demand in the economy will decrease. When the demand will decrease, your price will decrease. So the economy will come above from the inflation. The inflation will go. So that is what will happen at the time of inflation. At the time of inflation, what the central bank will do? Central bank will increase the bank rate. When the bank rate increases, the money supply in the economy will decrease. When the money supply in the economy will decrease, the demand in the economy will decrease. When the demand in the economy will decrease, the price level will also increase and the inflation will come down. So this is what happens at the time of inflation. So now let us study what happens at the time of deflation. So this is what happens at the time of inflation. Now let us study what will happen at the time of deflation. So student, deflation means it is a time where the price in the economy falls, where demand is less, where employment is less. All things are less. Where there is the price level is very less, the demand is very less, employment is also less. There is no increase in anything. That is the term called deflation. So at the time of deflation, what a central bank will do? So what will a central bank will do at the time of deflation? Central bank will increase the bank rate. Central bank will decrease the bank rate. What will central bank do? Central bank will decrease the bank rate. When bank rate decreases, money supply, that is MS means money supply, short form I am writing. Money supply in the economy will increase. When the money supply in the economy will increase, it will increase the demand. When the demand will increase, your price will also increase. So this is what happens at the time of deflation. Deflation means what? It is a situation where your price is less in the economy, where the demand is less in the economy, where the employment are very less in the economy. At that time, what a central bank will do? At that time, central bank will decrease your bank rate. When the bank rate is decreased, your money supply in the economy will increase. When the money supply in the economy increase, demand in the economy will increase. When the demand in the economy will increase, then your price will increase and the deflation in the economy will go. So this is what happens at the time of deflation. So my dear student, bank rate means bank rate is a rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank for long term needs. So you have to write what will happen at the time of inflation and at the time of deflation. So at the time of inflation, what the central bank will do? At the time of inflation, central bank will increase the bank rate. When the bank rate increases, the money supply in the economy will decrease. When the money supply in the economy decreases, demand becomes less. When the demand becomes less, the price will fall down. Therefore, inflation situation will go. Then another situation, that is the deflation situation. At the time of deflation, what happens? The central bank will decrease the bank rate. So when the central bank decreases the bank rate, money supply in the economy will increase. So when the money supply increases, it will in turn increases the demand in the economy. So when the demand increases, price in the economy will increase, and therefore the situation of deflation in the economy will go. So this is what happens with the bank rate, how the bank rate helps in controlling the credit. So my dear students, in the bank rate is a method which comes under quantitative method. So you must know the definition of the bank rate and also you must know the situation. So there are two type of situation occurs in an economy. One is inflation and another one is deflation. So at the time of inflation, what the central bank will do, and at the time of deflation, what the central bank will do. So at the time of inflation, what the central bank will do? Central bank will increase the bank rate. When the bank rate increases, the money supply in the economy decreases. When the money supply in the economy decreases, the demand in the economy will come down. Therefore, the price level decreases and the inflation situation will go. But at the time of deflation, what happens? At the time of deflation, central bank will decrease the bank rate. When the bank rate in the economy decreases, money supply will go up, money supply increases. When the money supply in the economy increases, demand in the economy goes high. Therefore, the prices of the commodity will also increase. Therefore, the situation of deflation will go. So this you have to know what will happen when at the time of inflation and at the time of deflation. So first we have studied about the bank rate. Now we will let us go for what is another one. That is after bank rate, the another thing that is we are going to study under quantitative method is repo rate. So we have already discussed about the bank rate. Now repo rate. students, this repo rate and bank rate is almost the same, but there is a slight difference. So what is the difference? That in definition, repo rate is also a rate where the central bank lends money to the commercial bank. But there is only one thing that you have to write is that it is for short-term purposes. Short-term purpose or short-term needs, you can write short-term needs. So repo rate is a rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank for the short-term purposes. But in the bank rate we have studied that is for long-term purposes, but repo rate is only for short-term needs. Okay, short-term purposes. So same, the definition is same, that is it is the rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank for the short-term needs. For the short term needs. Bank rate is for the long term needs, repo rate is for the short term needs. So this is the difference, the long term and short term. So another thing, what the same explanation here also, at the time of inflation what will happen, and at the time of deflation what will happen. So at the time of inflation, again the central bank, the short form for repo rate is RR. Repo rate will increase. When the repo rate increases, the money supply, MS is money supply in the economy will decrease. Money supply in the economy will decrease. We know demand in the economy will decrease. Therefore, the price level will decrease. So this is what happens in the inflation situation. Same thing that what we have studied for the bank. So at the time of deflation, what will happen? At the time of deflation, the repo rate will come down. Repo rate will decrease. When the repo rate will come down, what will happen? Your money supply will increase. When the money supply will increase, the demand will increase. When the demand in the economy will increase, the price level of the commodity will also increase, and you will come about from the situation of deflation. So the same explanation for inflation and deflation likewise like you do in the bank rate, but the one thing that is slight different is that repo rate means repo rate is the rate at which central bank gives money to the commercial bank for short term needs, but for the bank rate central bank gives money to the commercial bank for long term needs. Then both the situation, what will happen in the inflation and at the time of deflation. At the time of inflation, what will happen? Repo rate will increase. The central bank increases the repo rate. When repo rate increases, money supply in the MS means money supply in the economy will come down. When the money supply in the economy will come down, it will affect the demand in the economy will come down, and when the demand in the economy will come down, the price of the commodity will come down. Therefore inflation situation will go. But what will happen at the time of deflation? At the time of deflation, the government or the central bank decrease the repo rate. When the central bank decreases the repo rate, it will increase the money supply in the economy. When the money supply in the economy will increase, the demand in the economy will increase. When the demand in the economy will increase, the price also will increase. Therefore the deflation situation will go. So this is what is all about repo rate and bank rate. Now the third one that is we are going to study under quantitative method is the open market operation. So see, open market operations. Open market operation, this also comes under quantitative method of control credit. So what is, first of all, definition, what is open market operation? So open market operation means selling and buying of securities by the central bank from the government or public. So what is open market operation. Open markets operation means selling and buying of securities by the central bank from the public or from the commercial bank. So it is known as open market operation. So sometime the definition will come, define open market operation. At the time you have to say that, you have to write open market operation means selling and buying of securities by the central bank from the public or from the government. It is known as open market operation. Here also you have to study what will government will do, sorry, what the central bank will do in the open market operation when the situation of inflation happen, when the situation of deflation happen. Very very important here also, the two situations. Inflation, first of all, inflation. So when the inflation happens, what the central bank will do? Central bank will sell the securities to the public or to the commercial bank. So at the time of inflation, what will happen? The central bank, they sell the securities to the public or commercial bank. When they sell the securities to the public and or to the commercial bank, what will happen in the economy? The money supply in the economy will fall. So when the money supply in the economy will fall, we know demand in the economy will fall. When the demand in the economy will fall, what happens? The price will come down. Okay, this is what happens at the time of inflation. So at the time of inflation, what will happen? The central government will sell the central bank will sell the securities to the public or to the commercial bank. When they sell securities to the public or commercial bank, what will happen in the economy is that the money supply in the economy will go down. So now they will give security back to the commercial bank. Then in turn, the commercial bank, what they have to give back to the central bank? The money they have to give back to the central bank. Therefore, the money supply in the economy will go down. As a result, when the money supply goes down, the demand in the economy will fall. When the demand in the economy will fall, the price in the economy will go down. Therefore, we will come about the situation of inflation. So, what will happen at the time of inflation? At the time of inflation, government will sell the securities to the public or to the central bank. So when the government will sell the securities to the public or to the central bank, what will happen in the economy is that money supply in the economy will decrease or will come down. And what will happen when the money supply in the economy will fall? It will affect the demand. The demand will be lesser. When the demand will be lesser, the price level will come down. When the price level will come down, we will naturally come about the situation of inflation. So this is what happens at the time of inflation. Now let us study what will happen at the time of deflation. So at the time of deflation, what will do? Central bank will buy the securities from the public. So at the time of deflation, the central bank will buy the securities from the public or commercial bank. So when the central bank purchases securities from the public or the commercial bank, the money supply in the economy will increase. When the money supply in the economy will increase, we have studied, the demand will go high. When the demand increases, we know the price will go up. So this is what happens at the time of deflation. So at the time of inflation, at the time of deflation, what happens? At the time of deflation, the government will buy, the central bank will buy the securities from the commercial bank or from the people. So at that time, when the central bank purchases securities from the public, in turn the central bank will give money to the public. So now the public will have money. Therefore the money supply in the economy will increase. So when the money supply in the economy will increase, we know demand in the economy will increase. When the demand in the economy will increase, the price level goes up, and therefore we come about the situation of deflation. So at the time of inflation, what the central bank will do? At the time of inflation, central bank purchases, or sorry, the central bank gives the security back to the public or back to the commercial bank. When central bank gives the securities back to the public, then in turn the public has to give up the money to the central bank. Then the money goes in the hands of central bank. At that time the money supply in the economy will be less. That is, now the public will have no money, because their money is taken back by the central bank, because central bank has given their securities back to the public, and in turn the public has given back the money to the central bank. Now the money with the public will be lesser. So when the money with the public or money with the commercial bank will be less, therefore the money supply in the economy will be very less. When the money supply in the economy will be less, we know demand in the economy will fall. When the demand in the economy will fall, what will happen to the prices? Price will come down. So this is what happened at the time of inflation. So at the time of deflation, what will central bank will do? Central bank will buy the securities from the public. Okay, central bank will purchase the security from the public. So when the central bank will purchase the securities from the commercial bank or from the public, the central bank in turn gives back the money to the public. So when they purchases the securities from the public gets the money. So now the public will have the money, then with that money they will demand. When there is demand, there the price will increase. So that was what happens at the time of deflation. So what is open market operation? Open market operation means selling and buying of securities by the central bank from the public or from the commercial bank. So open market operation means, very very important student, open market operation means what? Open market operation means buying and selling of securities by the central bank from the public. It is the definition of the open market situation. Then what will happen at the time of inflation and what will happen at the time of deflation? So at the time of inflation, what happens? The central bank purchases the securities. So central bank gives back the security to the public. So when they give back to the security to the public, the central bank demands, give the money. Central bank collects the money. Now there is no money with the public. When there is no money with the public, there will be no demand. So when there is no demand, there will be, the price will come down. This is what happens at the time of inflation. So what happens at the time of deflation? At the time of deflation, the central bank purchases securities from the public. Okay, now central bank will say, oh, give me the securities. So when the public gives security to the central bank, in turn the central bank gives what to the public? The central bank gives money to the public. Now the money will come to the public. So with that money, what the public will do? They will demand the goods. So when the demand increases, the price in the economy will increase. Therefore the economy will come about the situation of deflation. So these are the important methods that we have studied in the quantitative aspects to control the credit creation. So today we have discussed about the three methods of credit creation. So once again students, so credit control method, today we have discussed about the quantitative method. Under quantitative method we have discussed A, bank rate, then we have discussed B, repo rate, then we have discussed what? Open market operation. So these are the things that we have discussed today under quantitative method. So under quantitative method there are three things: bank rate, repo rate, open market operation. So bank rate means what? Bank rate means it is the rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank for long term needs. But repo rate means what? It is the rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank for short term needs. And open market operation. Open market operation means what? Selling and buying of securities. Selling and buying of securities by the central bank from the public or from the commercial. It is known as open market operation. So what will happen when inflation comes? The bank rate will increase or decrease. What will happen to the repo rate at the time of inflation and deflation? What will happen in the open market at the time of inflation and deflation? That we have studied, very very important. If for 1 mark question comes, you have to write only the definition. But if suppose they are asking the what are the quantitative method generally for 6 mark, suppose 6 mark question comes, write the credit control methods, then you have to write quantitative method. You have to explain the bank rate, you have to explain the repo rate, you have to explain the open market operation in detail, and you have to tell what happens to the bank rate at the time of inflation, or what will happen to the repo rate at the time of whether bank rate will increase, whether bank rate will decrease at the time of inflation. For 1 mark also they will sometime ask, at the time of inflation the central bank will dash to the bank rate. You have to write increase or decrease. So at the time of inflation the central bank increases the bank rate. So at the time of deflation the central bank will decrease the bank rate. The same thing, at the time of inflation the repo rate will increase or decrease. The repo rate will increase. At the time of deflation the repo rate will decrease. So then they will ask, what will happen to the money supply in the economy at the time of inflation? At the time of inflation the money supply in the economy will decrease. At the time of deflation the money supply in the economy will increase. So that also sometime they will ask you, and sometime they will ask you about the definition of open market operation. So open market operation means selling and buying of securities by the central bank from the commercial, by the central bank from to the public or to the commercial bank. So these are the quantitative methods to control credit. So students, we have studied about the functions of central bank, functions of commercial bank, and the methods to control credit. So in the CBSE exam, these functions of central bank is very very important. You have to study all the functions of central bank. So it will definitely come for either for 3 mark or 4 mark or for 6 mark. Functions of central bank definitely you have to study. Very 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 important. Very very important. Every year a question will come from the functions of central bank. Then for 1 mark we know sometime the question will be there, who issues rupees 1 rupee in our country. So 1 rupee note or 1 rupee coin is issued by whom? This Ministry of Finance. So sometimes this question comes, who issues rupees 1 rupee coin or 1 rupee note in our country? 1 rupee coin or 1 rupee note is issued by the Ministry of Finance. So sometimes this 1 mark question, this will definitely come for your exam. So in the today's class we have discussed about the quantitative methods of credit control. So under quantitative method we have discussed about the bank rate, we have discussed about the repo rate, and we have discussed about the open market operation. The definitions are very important, and also the explanation what will a central bank will do at the time of inflation with the bank rate. So at the time of inflation, the central bank will increase the bank rate. So when the bank rate increases, what will happen to the money supply in the economy? Money supply will come down. When the money supply comes down, what will happen to the demand in the economy? Demand will go down. As a result, price will come down. So bank rate for long term purposes, but for the your repo rate is for the short term purpose. So this long term and short term you have to remember. Bank rate for long term purpose, repo rate for short term purpose. This is the difference. Sometimes in the competitive exam also you will get, what do you mean by repo rate, what do you mean by bank rate, they commonly ask you. And so once again I am telling, bank rate is for long term purposes, but the repo rate is for the short term purposes. Okay, thank you.